Welcome to day 34 of our school year. Let's go ahead and fill in our square. Alright, so let's start with our beginning fraction. We have a total of 180 school days. And we are on day 34. Okay, so now we're going to look at that numerator 34 and think, is that prime or composite? Well, it's an even number, and the only even number that is prime is the number 2. So that means it is composite. And if you want to check for sure, you can always look on the other side and see that 34 is not circled because it's composite. Alright, so that means we have to do the prime factorization for both our denominator and our numerator. Hopefully it's getting a little easier every time we do it. Remember that we're using for our prime factorization in this upside down division. We're going to start with our first 5 prime. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Since 180 is even, I know 2 is a factor. Half of 18 is 9, and then we have our placeholder. Okay. 9 plus 0 is 9, so 3 is a factor because 9 is a multiple of 3. I can get 3 groups of 3 out of 9, and then I have my placeholder. Ends in a 5 or a 0, so 5 is a factor. 5 times 6. That's even, so I could divide by 2, and then I get 3. When I get to a prime number, I am done. 34 is even, so I can divide by 2. I can get one group of 2 out of 30, and then I'm left with 14, and that's 7. And 17 is prime. If you're not sure, you can always check. 17 is prime, so we're done. So let's list our prime factorization for our denominator. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. And for our numerator, 2 times 17. So let's see what we have in common. We have 2 in both our numerator and denominator. So that means I have 17 in my numerator. 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 is 18 times 5 is 90. So 17 90ths. And that means I am making groups of 2. That is my greatest common factor. So let's go ahead and make our groups of 2. Does not matter what your groups of 2 look like. They do not have to look like mine. The only thing is you need to make sure there's 2 in each group, and you do not have the shaded in with the unshaded. So there's all our groups of 2. Now I'm going to find out how many total groups I have. That is now my new denominator. Since each of my rows here have 5 groups of 2, I can count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. So I have 90 total groups of 2. And I have 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 shaded in. So 17 90ths is my fraction based on my model, dividing with my model. Now I'm going to use my algorithm and divide by my greatest common factor. So I'm using my area model. So I'm dividing 180 by 2. Well, I know 2 times 50 will give me 100. Numbers the same, zeros a game, more on top, no need to stop. Bring that 80 up here. Let's see, 2 times 40 should get me 80. Numbers the same, zeros a game. 50 plus 40 equals 90. It's our partial quotients. Now let's do the same for our numerator. So let's try 10. 10 times 2 is 20. More on top, no need to stop. More on top, no need to stop. Bring that 14 up here. Let's do 5 times 2 is 10. More on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros a game. And then 2. Now you may have gotten to this a little bit faster, but this is just to show you that you can use the multiples you know to get to the answer. Numbers the same, zeros a game. So our remainder is 0. Okay, so let's add up these partial quotients. 10 plus 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. Now we still need to check with our inverse operation, which is your divisor times your quotient plus your remainder, divisor times quotient plus remainder. Since our remainder is 0 for both, and the identity property of addition says when you add 0 it stays the same, I don't need to actually add the 0 because it'll just be the same result. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 7 is 14, 2 times 10 is 20, plus 1 more 10 is 30. So 34 matches my dividend, check. 180 matches my dividend, check. So 17 is definitely my numerator, and 90 is definitely my denominator. Okay, now let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. Still in trimester 1, week 8. Today is 9/25/19. And our fraction for today is 17/90. Okay, let's go ahead and get out our number line. We did groups of 2. So 14/90, that is equivalent to 7/45, the simplest form. 15/90, that is equivalent to 10/60, and 1/6 is the simplest form. 16/90 is equivalent to 8/45, the simplest form, and then today 17/90, that is our simplest form. That is our equivalent fraction in lowest terms. No lines below it, only above it. Okay, let's go ahead and put your number line away, erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.